where people are explaining what it means, which, you know, I'm watching it on the couch with my wife. She's getting weirded out. She's like, let's just not watch this. Maybe we shouldn't watch this. I'm like, no, let's fucking watch it. Let's go deep and see what what videos it starts suggesting for us to, because it's not like Google's being secretive about what they did. It's just, it's so weird. I don't think people are like, and right now, I guess people are a little more concerned with other shit right now.
Yeah.
But one of the engineers over at Google just was saying, like, you know, I think one of the things I'm excited about when it comes to quantum supremacy is that this could be one of the technologies that allows us to discover an alien intelligence. Just, you know, kind of casually mentions that. I mean, it's on the YouTube video. You're watching it and you keep looking up to make sure it's actually released from Google, because it seems so sci-fi that it could be like Black Mirror or some shit.
Right.
But it's like they're just saying it. Like, yeah, we might connect to an alien. We might be able to at least identify it, or maybe they mean because they're going to be able to sift through all the data we already have from radio telescopes and stuff, that they could maybe look for signals that we can't find, or I don't know.
How would they? Maybe something they could tune into things that they wouldn't ordinarily have the frequency to reach.
Yeah, man. I don't know.
Or be able to tune into that frequency, rather. Like, what can they do now in terms of... I was watching Contact the other night, which is great.
Yeah,
I forgot how good it was. It's a great movie.
Yeah.
Jodie Foster can act her fucking ass off,
Yeah.
man. She plays nervous and freaked out better than, like, anybody alive. Like,
Yeah.
you're freaked out for her in that movie.
Yeah.
I'm good to go! I'm good to go! And she's about to drop through that thing.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Holy fuck, dude.
We've all felt that before.
That movie's yes. We have. After the third hit, when you put the pipe down, you'll go, oh no.
I know.
And the DMT chants start happening.
I know that feeling. It's such a funny feeling. And
Good to go! Good to go!
Yeah. That feeling is the best, worst feeling that I know of.
Maybe that's the aliens. I've thought of that many times when tripping in the middle of having some sort of like really vivid interaction with some intelligence or with some perceived intelligence.
Yeah.
I've always thought, what if those are the aliens? What if we're just stuck in this idea that travel is you got to move this to there,
Yeah.
you got to move this to there.
Yeah.
What if you just go into another thing and everything's together? There is no travel.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe this concept of planets and then stars and the way we have it set up here in this dimension, in this universe, we just think that's how everything is. Everything is, well, there's a star and there's planets around it. What if you can go into a place chemically that takes you to a nearby dimension where there's no matter, where there's no form to things, and everything that exists is just thoughts and light and perception and emotions and anger and fear and love and hate, and it's all moving in geometry and everything's lit up and everything's impossibly bright and vivid.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just like another place you go to.
Well, they used to call it the spirit world.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the name for it. It was just accepted there as like a place called the spirit world. Some people call it the Bardo. There's all kinds of names for that place. But, you know,
What if that's real?
It is. I mean, it is obviously real in the sense that
You can go there.
You not only can you go there, but there's visionary artists. When you look at the art that has been inspired by various entheogens, it all has a specific flavor to it. And
Alex Gray is the best example, right?
Yeah,
For
Alex
sure.
and Allison, man, they like their art. You look at that, and one of the reasons it resonates for people like us is because we admire the fact that somehow they managed to go over there and come back and draw what's over there in a way that we saw that, but when I came out of it, it's like, well, it's undulating colors, and there's some kind of disembodied intention that seems to be expressing itself through a variety of geometries, but it's not just geometries, because the geometries seem to react to the way that I feel regarding the geometries, so it's also kind of taking on the form of my energy output, as though it's trying to be a combo mirror, but not just a mirror, an educational mirror that's sort of showing me how I'm affecting the world around me. But then again, I'm just not sure if I was just super high, but they just, but they like go in there. And Alex Gray said this to me once, that, they're cartographers. It's just,
Ooh.
cartographers. And
Psychedelic cartographer would be a great name for a band.
yeah, man, for sure. Cartography is fascinating because you go back and look at the old maps, or you go back and look at, like, my favorite thing is like old pictures of a giraffe, or like old pictures of some shit somebody saw when they were.
Oh yeah, like bison on the walls of caves.
Yes, exactly. And it's like, kind of looks like a bison, but like also it's somehow in that time period our brains hadn't evolved to the point they have now. So you look at like a medieval drawing of a giraffe or whatever, when something someone saw in the Crusades and came back and tried to like explain to somebody, and like it looks exactly like the way your description of getting completely blasted on psilocybin probably looks compared to what you saw. It's a downgraded, weird version of it. And so, you know, people like Alex and Allison or Terrence McKenna, you know, they're so good at going into that place and maintaining some kind of like long-term memory that they can come back and fully articulate it in a way that we, as people who've been there, know what it is. And then there's something comforting in that, because that does point to the idea that this is a place. We're not just mashing down the watch, or we're not just distorting our biotechnology. This is a shared place. We're all seeing the same thing. Now, that could be a synaptic place or a genetic place that happens to be in humans or something. You know, we'll never be able to answer that probably in our lifetimes. But to me, it's regardless, it's still a place. And to get back to what you were saying about our current concept of travel, you know, or our current idea that, well, I need to get my meat body over here, because if I don't, that means I'm there. And, you know, that's how I know I've been there, because I was there in my body. And then, so, yeah. You know, this is like the guy who founded the Hare Krishnas, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. He would, in his writings, was derisive of the idea that people were sending a metal ship to the moon with bodies inside of it. He would say, like, that shows where human consciousness is right now, because they think they're their bodies, and they think they need to put their body in like this box and send it to the moon, because they haven't figured out yet that you don't need metal to send yourself to anywhere in the universe that you want to go. It just requires yoga and discipline, you know, which is hilarious. And also, I remember reading that and thinking, like, but I still want there to be interstellar fucking travel, man. You know, like, I still want to get in the box and travel to the moon. That being said, you know, I think that you're onto something when you are contemplating right now that maybe our idea of going to one place or another with our meat bodies could be looked at in the future as a little archaic.
Well, when they talk about there being different dimensions, right? Like when they use quantum physics to determine the number of dimensions, they've determined there's multiple dimensions that we don't have access to, right?
Yeah.
Like, is that how it works, or am I reading it in a dumb way? Because I believe there was, what do they think there are? Do they think there's 9 or 11 dimensions? Do you?
Usually when I look this up, it's 11, but up to 26, maybe some people even think so.
Up to 26. First of all, when those dudes are writing that shit down on the yellow legal pads, we all have to take them. We have to take their word for it.
Yeah, sure.
You know, yeah, okay. How many people know what the fuck they're writing down on those goddamn yellow legal pads? When you see those physics dudes and they're doing those crazy, like...
Yeah, we have to take their word for it.
So apparently mathematically, right? That's why they believe there's at least 11 dimensions. So what does that mean? So it means we have access to some dimensions and we don't have access to others? Theoretically that they exist? Is it possible to transverse the distance between this dimension and that dimension?
Man, this is the thing. As I'm glad you're asking me this, because, you know, I got my doctorate at the University of Bro Science, and I can't fully answer this question. You see, I don't understand it.
Does it have to do with 5G?
Don't mention that shit, dude. It's my fucking poodle. My poodle's fucked because of 5G, man. Like, it fucked up my poodle. Like, its eyes turned just both of them white, and it's like, yeah, it froths all the time. It just froths, and
Are you near a tower?
What? Am I near a tower?
Yeah.
I didn't think I was till that happened to the poodle, but like, I'm just an idiot. It's got rabies.
You blame it on 5G. Your dog's trying to bite everything.
No, but I'll tell you this. My fucking poodle took out a mouse today. Like the other day, I have a little cute little poodle, and like this is just a cute creature, sits in my lap. I love this dog. But our new place, I noticed like mouse turds around the dog food, and it sucks because you're like, damn, that mouse is definitely gonna get through the doggy door, and then we're gonna have mice in the fucking house, and that's gonna be a nightmare. So anyway, I was like under a tree with my kid, and I looked down, and there's a broken body of a mouse that one of the dogs took out. It's, like just been smashed to death. And like, I know it's brutal. I don't think my son saw it, thank God. I don't think he's ready to deal with that reality that like Gatsby on, speaking of dimensions, on the dimension subjectively that mouse lives in, Gatsby is a dragon. That's a monster that lives in the field it runs in when it's trying to get food for its kids.
And it's not even hungry. It's full. It's a full monster.
Oh, I saw it kill the mouse today. And my wife is like, you got to get the mouse away from it. Don't let him torture it like that. You got to take it out of its misery. And I'm like, all right. I'll like get it, and then we'll execute the mouse, So I start walking over to the poodle. That's not my Gatsby anymore. It's killing, and he looks at me, and he's like,
growled at you?
No, at the mouse, at everything, just approaching anything. Ooh. And so then he's like tap dancing on this mouse, and he realizes that we're approaching to like take his prey, and he just looks back like the fucking American Werewolf in London and just goes off into the shadows behind the house to finish off the mouse, and all you hear is like as he's like killing the mouse.
Whoa.
That's a fucking poodle. That poodle's the sweetest little thing ever, but like it's also, I think, maybe something in animals knows that like, and there was a time when mice were a sign that they would eat your grain. They would fuck you up. Like they spread disease. They'd shit on your baby, They were like, they're going to piss all over your hut. Maybe there's something in dogs that just knows that. I mean, I don't think he's a sociopath. I don't think he's doing like Jeffrey Dahmer shit where he's just like, I wonder what sound it makes as it dies.
I think they're prey animals to dogs too. Because coyotes eat a lot of rodents. One of the reasons why we don't have rodents, like real rodent problems that we could, like New York City has, is we have way more coyotes. Coyotes are everywhere, and hawks, a lot of birds. Those are the ones kill. So they're prey animals. Yeah. The reason why they're so prolific and they grow so fast, and there's so many of them, is because a lot of things eat them.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, all the animals eat them. Wolves eat them. Everything that can get a hold of them eats them. Dogs too, and dogs are from wolves. So dogs see a mouse, they're like, I'm eating that. Like that must look like a delicious cold slice of watermelon on a hot July day. Just, oh yeah.
Just running across your yard when you're baked.
Like, it's a mouse. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
It's a perfect orange. You know those oranges where sometimes the peel just comes right free? Yeah. It's so satisfying. Like very little work. And then you bite into that orange, it's just juicy. Yeah. Delicious. That's that mouse. That mouse just running. Bullshit ass mouse thinks he's gonna run through my fucking yard.
No. And that mouse, that's the other thing that's really sad about it. I mean, the mouse is cute. Like this wasn't like some dangerous looking mouse. This mouse looked like it was like in Act 2 of a Disney film or something. Like, like this mouse looked like sweet. Like the mouse looked like it could sing.
It was Patton Oswalt and Ratatouille.
It was like that level of cute, man. Oh. I know. And like my heart is like breaking because it's like, what do you do? That being said, there's not much I could have done. It's like, this is the way nature is. And to get back to your dimension thing, man, not that it's like literally like a physical dimension, but the reality tunnel that my poodle lives in and that mouse lives in is so fundamentally different than our reality tunnel that the mouse is in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The mouse is in The Walking Dead, except it's like two Cavalier, King Charles, a poodle, and a Chihuahua. So, but for the mouse, that's The Walking Dead, and the mouse, it's got to eat. It's got to get food, so it's constantly like developed this like way that humans would develop, which I think The Walking Dead did a good job of, the comics especially, of showing the way people over time would evolve to deal with zombies and how people would gradually, completely like change or transform based on their predators. You know, like the rats and mice have done that. You know, when you see a thing that is a prey animal, you're seeing a reflection of the predator in the prey animal.
Are you aware of what's going on with rats in New York City?
I can't fucking imagine.
There's rat wars going on because the restaurants are out of business, right? So the restaurants closed down, so all the rats' food supply is gone. So rats have started moving into other rats' territories and killing and cannibalizing rats.
Wow.
Dude,
That's
rat
crazy.
wars.
That's
like
a cartoon.
The rats didn't do anything wrong. They're just being rats, and all of a sudden the food supply got cut off.
Holy shit, man. That is so intense. And and think of that level of reality. That level of reality is a level of reality that's taking place in some of those tunnels down there, man. They don't even use them anymore. Like
they're just rat infested.
Yeah, just floods of rats who have decided that's their kingdom or whatever, that are now being invaded. That's so weird out down, and also it's dark. Like just it's all smell. So like the world of a rat down there, it's not like there's light in the subterranean depths of New York. So it's like there's a universe of smell, and I guess maybe I'm sure they do see down there, but the way they see is like, who knows? So they're looking at whatever they're seeing is a completely different thing, and then they have a complete different set of priorities. You know, what's that show, man? It's a really beautiful but disgusting documentary. I think it's called Rats.
Yeah, Rats. The one on Netflix.
But like they send the weak ones to eat poison.
Yeah.
That alone.
We played a video the other day of a rat setting off a mousetrap with a stick, carrying a stick over to the mousetrap, dropping it. The trap goes off and it doesn't even flinch. Like it knows how to shut off a trap.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's fucking
Dude,
crazy.
there's millions of them too. That's what's really crazy. New York City has as many rats as it has people, and that's just a rough guess. You know, I mean, I don't know what kind of fucking rat census they're taking. I mean, how do they know? How do they know?
They don't.
I mean, what you get a bunch of dudes who are just experts at counting shit, and you go, "What do you think?" And like, a fuckload. Do you want to say there's as many rats as there are people? Okay, watch this. Look at this. Watch this. Boom. Sets it off. Didn't even flinch, dude. Play that again. Watch how he walks up to it, sets it off, and watch how he doesn't flinch. That's a violent thing. That thing exploding in front of him and slamming over the ground, and he 100% knew it was going to happen.
No,
and didn't even flinch.
It's the way I act when I'm getting like a Coke out of a machine.
Exactly.
Just whatever. I do it all the time. It's cool.
You know, that Coke drops, you don't bounce back.
It's like, thank God. That's nice. They're leaving these for us now. I wonder if they know that this is dangerous. They'll probably figure it out.
Yeah, they know how to set those things off. That's insane.
Well, this is, this is one of the cool essays Terrence McKenna wrote that I love, that we've talked about before. If we've talked about on the pop, I guess we've probably talked about everything we talk about already, so fuck it. But isn't that one of the things he said in this beautiful, crazy essay, that like everything was cool until we split the atom, and then that was like, no, we can't. That's too much.
We're always in transit. So when we say everything was cool until, the thing about people is we're always going somewhere, in terms of we're always trying to make better things, and we're always moving into a better place and a better thing. That there's never going to be it was good until. That's all like romantic thinking, like looking back at the past.
Sorry. I don't mean he's saying it was good until we split the atom. He was saying we split the atom, and the greater intelligences that were existing in alternate dimensions were like, hey, wait, what the fuck?
Oh.
And that's what he was saying. Is they're like, wait, no, they can't do that. Like if they do, because like the way he put it, and I'm not only paraphrasing, I'm probably like misphrasing, but as I remember the essay, the idea is like that parallel timeline, the multiverse right next to ours that you see, that's the DMT realm. But this DMT is just showing you one version of it. But that is populated with spirits or aliens or whatever the name you want to give them, and they are pretty much, as far as we go, they're just like they look at us the way we look at birds or whatever. You know, it's like they're there, but, you know, maybe some of them study us or are interested. And sure, maybe some of them like hunt us from time to time, or like maybe some of them possess us or whatever. But mostly it's a world that it coexists with us in with a very limited form of interaction that is you know, subtle, but and there somehow there's some like Star Trek intentionality behind that, which is like let them evolve as they're evolving. Let's not fuck with it. But the splitting of the atom, that was powerful enough that it bled over into their realm destructively. And so they were like, that was the beginning of the end for us, not because it meant a nuclear holocaust or whatever, but because they couldn't just ignore us anymore. And that this was like, you know, I don't know, that maybe this is where the aliens are coming, or the singularity, the thing we call the singularity is not that we technologically create a machine that produces a thing that opens up a parallel timeline or creates all moments at once, but rather that's when they come here. That in the way we see that, because we're so limited in our understanding, when I do something, I'm like, I'm doing this. This is how I did it. I did it. This is like in music. If you write a song or you write music and you're just in the room with somebody, there's some kind of law where they get credit for it because just they were there. That's a collaboration. Really? Musicians, I remember someone explained this to me a long time ago, but there's an intense way of quantifying collaboration in music that is a little different than in like making like other forms of media. And I think it's a little bit more sophisticated in its way of looking at that quantification. Like every time we finish a podcast, we always have saying, damn, whenever we talk, it's like you bring like these conversations we have, I'm not having them all the time. You know what I mean? It's like us together and Jamie, and like something about that produces a space where we're able to have these kinds of conversations. And so quantifying that is like, how would you even fucking quantify that? But anyway, what I'm saying is,
right, when certain people are around, the people that are creating the music is better.
Yeah, that, you know, but so to get back to the weirdo idea of like technology not even being a thing we're making, but that we're pretending we're making because we can't see the fact that technology is crystallizing in our time frame, and that as part of that crystallization, because it's such an insane visitation, we have to, in our brains, invent a reason that it's happening. And so we're making it, and someone's like, oh, I had this idea. I'm going to work on this thing that's going to lead to a quantum computer, that's going to lead to a thing. And then all of a sudden the quantum computer starts giving ideas about, well, why don't you try this? And then who fucking came up with that? And then, you know what I mean? and that's the last phase before the veil lifts, and boom, that's the singularity. And that's, you know, and it's not, we didn't make the singularity, we're a reflection of it. That's just when this particular zone or node or whatever you want to call it gets opened for business, so to speak.
Well, if it wanted to prepare us for abandoning life as usual, this would be a good way to start it.
Yeah.
Start it with a little pandemic, lock everybody inside for a little bit, complete upending of what's all that's normal in terms of society.
Yeah, man. I mean, that is the and you know, I was driving over, I'm like, I want to talk about like all the different conspiracies about it with Rogan, but I don't want to either.
What kind of conspiracies? About the pandemic?
Yeah.
What are the conspiracies you're hearing other than 5G?
5G, comet impact.
Comet impact?
Yeah.
I haven't heard that one.
Well, you're definitely not my wife, because I've mentioned it so many times to my wife. She's like, Duncan, please don't. Do you like
Is
every
there one that was
day?
supposed to fly by? Like there's a meteor that's supposed to fly by in the next short amount of time?
Yeah. Check out Reddit Conspiracy. My conspiracy friends, I'm not even going to attempt to give the download on it, because like y'all have done a pretty good job of putting all the pieces together out there, whether they're real or not. I don't fucking know, but I enjoy reading them late at night, and they've been giving me terrible dreams. But the asteroid theory is that okay, so we want to have, by we I mean they want to have maximum survivability for the planet. They're not out to like They don't want people to die. They're not trying to. It's not a bioengineered thing that's designed to like cull the population, which is another of the theories. But rather, there was a plan, which is like, what's our plan if we do see a meteor is going to impact the planet? What's our plan? Do we let people know that the meteor is going to impact? Well, it depends. Like if an astronomer that's not connected to one of our labs or whatever sees it, they're going to let people know. And then, so that's a whole different, I think, method of like reacting. But what if we see a thing that they don't know about? And there's some probability, even a 20% chance the thing impacts the Earth, right? Or there's some cosmic event maybe we're not even aware of, like the sun doing some weird shit that we don't even know happens because it's so deep. It's like deep data, right? So maybe it's not an asteroid, it's a cosmic event that's approaching, right? And so there's got to be a plan. And it's like, well, if we just tell people that the sun's going to do like a mild blip, which is going to destroy all satellites and destroy all GPS, and just that alone would cause runs on the bank, mass panics, and people would start looting and shit. And that's not, you don't want that, because the idea is like we want them to hole up in their houses till the shit passes so we get maximum survivability. And so the whole pandemic, this is a conspiracy theory, not real. The whole pandemic was a plan to get people to go inside, store up food, get them off the roads, and wait for this, whatever this event is, to pass. And as soon as the event passes, you'll find that it's all of a sudden it's like, what do you know? The curves are all dropping off. What do you know? And then we'll all be back because the thing they were worried about didn't happen. Also, it could be a test for that, so that.
Can I just stop you, because it's so dumb?
Me.
It's hard to believe.
Thank you.
There's a real virus. They can.
Dude, I know.
They can image it.
I
know what it looks like. They've been able to test for it, antibodies.
I feel like
test for a live
I feel like I'm talking to my wife.
It's a real virus. It's a confusing virus.
It's so good that I married the person I married, because if not, I would probably be digging a hole to crawl into out of pure paranoia, because she does do this to me. She's like, Duncan, do you think there isn't a COVID virus? You think there's no virus out there? Do you think that maybe so all the scientists that have identified COVID are all part of this thing to keep us from the meteor thing? And then I'm like, thank you. Because I'll start getting freaked out from it, but I'll answer your question. If I had to answer that, I would say, oh no, it's real. I mean,
how many people have died from it now? What is the current COVID death count?
It was 50,000 today, this morning.
50,000? Here's something that I found out that's kind of odd. If you die of something else, so people are still dying, right? They're still dying of high blood pressure, strokes, heart attacks, still killing more people than anything, right? If you die of a heart attack and you have COVID, you get listed as a COVID death. So even if you're going to die of a heart attack, people are still dying, right?
Yes.
Same amount of people, other than traffic accidents, which I think has diminished quite a bit because no one's driving.
Yep.
But those people are going to die still. It's not like they live forever without the COVID.
Right.
It's not like they don't get the flu. It's not like they don't get a cold. It's not like they don't get pneumonia. All these things exist with or without COVID. People are still dying from them. But if you die of one of those things and you have COVID, it's a COVID death.
Yeah.
So that's why it's so crazy. It's you don't really know how many people are actually getting this COVID, and having a mild reaction, how many people are having no reaction, how many people are dying.
Right.
That's when they did that new UCLA study that came out that showed they think there's way more people that have been. They think California alone is somewhere around 400,000 people being infected, and so the fatality rate is still pretty low. But if that's the case, so what do? We just let people die? Or do we do this every time the flu comes around too now? What if we get a particularly rough flu? Is this a practice run for what we're going to do every time colds come through? And they start killing old people, or killing sick people or fat people? Or when do we... I wouldn't want to be the person that makes the call as to when people go back to work. Because what if the second wave comes and a bunch of people die that didn't have to die?
Right.
But boy, if we set up a weird precedent, it's kind of weird. We've shut everything down.
Yeah, man. To me, the part that makes sense is...
we stopped the spread.
Well, also, the other thing is it's new.
Yeah.
I mean, there are coronaviruses, but we don't know what it is.
Right.
So we don't have we have the data on the flu. We have the data on the cold. We know how to treat the cold. We know how to treat the flu. But this fucking thing, we don't know what it is.
And there's conflicting data too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of get the like super, super, super intense, careful approach to it. And I think if I had to make the decision, that would be the decision that I made. But then also I hope whoever, and thank God people like us don't make those decisions.
Thank God.
But hopefully whoever's like making these decisions is aware of the fact that like right now there's folks who are getting Meals on Wheels. There's folks who are like on unemployment and lost their job. And like, I hope they're aware of the fact that like, and I'm sure they are, that the pressure of folks who are in this horrendous economic position, the pressure on them at some point is going to exceed the humanity and compassion and empathy they're showing by not being in the demographic that's most likely to die and still staying inside, losing their job. You know, that's love, man. That's deep compassion, because you don't want someone's granddad to suffocate on some new fucking bat flu, right? That's really love. That's love, and that's it's beautiful. But at some point, that pressure is, people are going to be like, look, I don't want to kill anybody. I don't want to be a carrier. I don't ever want to hurt anybody. But my kid is got to have food, and I have to work. And, you know, and then I think somewhere there, hopefully by then there's at least a treatment they've discovered, or at least we get to a point where they've, you know, where maybe what's happening in Sweden, we get enough data on that to realize that there's other ways to do it that don't involve complete lockdown.
Yeah. What they did was they sort of left everything open, but they all behaved as if there's the potential of contacting or transmitting, right?
Yeah.
Like they didn't wear masks, right?
They do. It doesn't look like they're wearing masks. It looks like
They didn't close everything down.
They didn't close
still go to
everything.
restaurants and pubs.
Yeah.
And is their death rate similar? Like,
Well, the thing I saw was like, if you look at nearby countries, the death rate is lower, but weirdly, countries that were doing complete lockdowns have higher death rates than they do. And you know, if you the problem is like you have this glob of data that anyone can interpret, and there's probably angles you can take on it that would show, look, yeah, there's a higher death rate, of course, in Sweden, because it's going to spread more if people aren't staying inside. I mean, that seems pretty logical to me. But then also, if you're showing some conflicting data where some other country in complete lockdown with a similar population, or somehow like equating their population with Sweden's population, if they've got a higher death rate, then that's fucking terrifying, man. Because the implication of it is like, we really don't understand what this is.
there's other factors too.
Yeah.
One big one is Sweden is not a dense population. I don't think there's that many people in the entire country. It's a very small place.
That's right.
Like, how many people live in Sweden?
I think I looked this up the other day. I think most of the people live in small villages of like less than 200.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So, you know, they probably don't travel that much or interact with each other that much. They have plenty of space. They don't travel that much, tight together. 10.23 million for the entire country.
Tiny.
By the way, it's great. I've been to Stockholm. It was gorgeous. Beautiful. We did a show there too. They were really nice. I enjoyed it very much. Very, very friendly people. But, you know, they have a lot of space. They're not New York City. New York City seems to be the epicenter in the United States, and for good reason. Everyone's stacked on top of each other.
Yeah.
Everyone's interacting with each other on the streets, on the subways, moving around. You got to go to places. There's fucking people everywhere. They're everywhere. That, I think, is a terrible way to live.
Dude, I fucking love New York so much. When I went there, it was so nice. But yeah, it's nice to be on the West Coast, and especially right now. Jamie was, you know, talking about, like, think of the people right now in New York who are just alone in an apartment, seeing the news that apparently spreads through like air conditioning ducts. It's like, you know what I mean? That's terrifying. But you know, I like, my opinion on it, and in my old age, it has to be my opinion on things. It's like, I'm gonna trust scientists. I'm just going to, because I didn't go to medical school. I don't understand what the fuck a virus even is. Like, I don't remember. I've been trying to remember. I'm too lazy to Google it, how it works. I know it gets into your DNA, it replaces it. But what I'm saying is, I'm not suggesting some kind of surrender to authority out of absolute weakness. But if a large consensus of scientists are advising some specific method of dealing with this thing, let's listen to them, you know, and then just make sure that I feel bad for, like, I have a friend in Georgia right now, and like right now he's become part of an experiment, a global experiment. They're opening up Georgia right now, and every state that opens up right now becomes an experiment. We're going to get a lot of data from what happens from all these states opening up right now regarding the efficacy of a shutdown like we have right now. And it could be that all of a sudden we realize we overreacted. And you know what? I'd much rather overreact than underreact in situations like this. You know, it's like, fuck, we overreacted. Whoops. Yeah, we thought there was the potential this thing could mutate and kill fuck tons of people, way more than the flu, and we were wrong. And it fucked up the economy, but it's a lot better than what would have happened if it was some new smallpox or black plague, right?
Well, also, look, it killed 50,000 people, right? What if we did nothing? Would it have killed like 400,000?
Exactly.
I mean, that could have happened. I mean, it could have compounded. And it seems like for whatever reason, these places where people are stacked on top of each other, not only do they get it, but they get it way worse, right?
Yeah.
It seems like, what's that expression? Viral load, right?
Yeah.
Like the viral load is greater, and like if you're around a bunch of sick people, like there was one awful story about this family in New Jersey, and like the mother died, and the oldest son died, and the middle son died. Like 3 people died from one family vacation or one family dinner. They got together, and one of them had it and just spread through the fucking house. It's not the flu, you know. It's something way more intense, but the people that have survived the flu, they'll probably survive that too. But the people that, you know, were kind of hanging on edge, it seems like anybody with a respiratory problem is in deep shit. Anybody who smokes is in deep shit. People with high blood pressure, diabetes, deep shit. It's not the same with everybody. Other people, like Idris Elba, walks it off, you know, healthy.
Yeah, I know.
But he has asthma, apparently.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he had asthma, but he didn't, you know, there's a lot of people that Chris Cuomo guy seems fine. I know he says he gets chills, but he seems fine.
He seems rattled, though. You know, not in a bad way. Yeah, exactly. Like, that was watching him was one of the things that was legitimately creeping me out, is like, as you're watching him, and he did a great job holding it together, man. He didn't panic, and he like put something out there that was like comforting to some degree, but I was scanning his eyes, and there were moments where I'm like, fuck, he's rattled. Like, whatever's happening to him at night is bad.
Why is it happening at night? What is the difference?
You know, I don't understand that.
If you look fine in the day, how come at night all of a sudden everything's all fucked up?
Don't ask me, man. I don't know. It's like, I've noticed though, sometimes if I get sick, night is always worse than the day. I don't know why. I don't know, man. But whatever the fuck it is, to me, like the part that really sucks, I got friends who are like immunocompromised, man, and that means that they really will, if they get it, it's game over, you know. It fucking sucks. And so there's that quality to it too, where you're like, you know, statistically, I don't know where I'm at. Statistically, I think I'm on the cusp, you know, but we've got, all of us have friends that are like dead meat if this thing were to explode. So fuck it, you know. I get staying inside, man. I just know that like eventually, you know, my brother was telling me every day his neighbor, you know, my brother works from home. He's a video editor every day, and a producer. But every day these, you know, he sees people are getting food deliveries because they can't from the state.
Right.
You know, man, and that's like, I don't know. I'm just glad I don't have to. I'm glad I don't have to be the one who makes decisions like this, because that must be a weird thing to be in a position where any decision you make kills people. Like, if you make the decision to open up, people are gonna, you know, die because they're gonna get sick. if you don't make this decision to open up, there's a potential that, just think of the mentally ill people right now. No one's talking about that. Like, I keep thinking of like the manic depressive people, the people who are already depressed, who now can't go outside, but are also getting blasted with apocalypse news. I don't know what suicide rates are looking like right now, but like, you know what I mean? So it's the decision to keep people shut down, is going to, what might result from that, those deaths might be secondary or tertiary or some shit. But still, it's like, it just sucks to have to be in a position where you have to make those decisions. And it's like, how awful to know. It's like brutal. I feel terrible for them. Anyone who's like, because I don't
know what they're going to do either. I mean, they're going to have to eventually assume the position that we're going to have to slowly open up and start, restaurants at half capacity and shit like that.
Yeah.
But when? They've said May 15th here. That seems like an awful long time.
I know.
It's an awful long time to ask people to keep it together that don't have any money. It's an awful long time.
It's an awful, awful long time.
It doesn't seem like the best idea either. It seems like the best idea would be to quarantine all the people that are very vulnerable, to make sure that they quarantine and make sure that people who know them or are aware, do not, touch them or touch anything around them if you could have potentially been in contact with something because they're immunocompromised.
Well,
that seems like the move. The move seems like to quarantine the people, at this point at least, to self-quarantine or, tell them to quarantine people that are really vulnerable, older people with, people that smoke, people with respiratory conditions. Be aware that you're vulnerable. And then you act accordingly. But everybody else, we need to, at some point in time, whether it's this week or next week or 3 weeks from now, when they think it is, May 15th, right? That's like 3 weeks from now. They're going to have to open the doors. And when they open the doors, people are going to be starving. They're going to be starving.
Yeah, man.
They haven't worked. There's so many people that are so behind in their debts. They're getting, debt collectors are still wanting their money. Especially if they had loans or, anything that was outstanding before all this happened. They're already in debt, trying to work their way out of a hole, and they can't even work. This is the only time we've ever been in a position where people can't even go to work.
Yeah. Well, what do you... okay, so I've heard like 3 ideas regarding what to do. One of them is like incredibly controversial. I wonder what you think about it, which is like using the same data that they use in like... what's it called? Those chips.
South Korea, yeah.
No, the chips you can put on. Yeah, it's Bluetooth. So it's essentially like tracking and alerting you if you've come in contact with someone who has it. What do you think about that?
I don't trust anyone to have all that data and only use it for that.
Right.
There's no way. That data would be so valuable. If everyone had a chip and everyone was tracked, you knew where everyone was all throughout the day. Oh, you're only going to use that to see who's got coronavirus? Really?
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here. Once that technology exists, it's not like they're going to murder it at the end of the fucking season. Well, we got no more COVID, so let's just stop all this technology. No chance. They'll find a new reason to use it.
Okay.
They'll be able to track the flu. They'll be able to track adulterers. They'll be able to track robbers. They'll be able to track carjackers. They'll be able to track... You name it, man. You name it. These are the right-wing activists that like to yell at abortion clinics. Let's track them.
Right.
Now a Republican gets in office. Hey, these are the people that are the fucking animal rights activists. They're always getting in front of the meat plant. Let's track them.
Right.
Like, you can't track people.
Okay.
And they're already doing it anyway. You talk to Snowden, they're already tracking you by your goddamn phone. But I like the fact that I could take this phone and chuck it in the fucking river. I could just chuck it. I'd throw it in the ocean. No, I wouldn't even do that. I'm environmentally conscious.
I wouldn't. Someone's going to be like, you bastard.
But I wouldn't. I'm not I really feel strongly about that. I would never litter like that. But point is, I can get rid of that fucking phone.
Yeah.
It's not a part of my body. Once they're injecting, I've talked about this way too many podcasts in a row, but there's a company that had these people inject a microchip in their arm, and they could wave it in front of the soda machine and get fucking snacks with it and shit. It was like your tab was on your arm. You could, Mike's here, open the door, and unlocks the door. Get the fuck out of here. And we were saying, like, what if that company fires you? And what if Chipotle fires you? You got that Chipotle chip in your arm. But I was management. It's not a regular Chipotle chip. Imagine. And now you have to work for fucking 7-Up, and 7-Up's like, we're going to have to cut your arm off.
Yeah.
Because it keeps registering that you're a Chipotle invader.
You 10 chips in your arm. because you worked at.
Right.
Just kept getting a new job.
Keep getting new chips. Mike, why don't you get those chips removed? I like them. They remind me I've had a hard life and a lot of good jobs. All
Oh,
these
God.
chips all around his arm.
Proud of my chips.
That's the way I've always been. Always been a hard worker.
Oh, I earned these chips.
I earned all these chips.
Every single one of these chips means, also when you combine those chips with augmented reality so that you could have a visual floating around them as like the mascot of the various companies they work for. Or like let's say we do get the chip, right? The chip exists and we all just somehow decide like, yeah, well, let's just do it. I mean, fuck the whole Book of Revelations. That's just the old bullshit, the whole Mark of the Beast stuff. I'm not gonna pay any attention. Let's get the chip. That was just some old ancient bullshit. All right, come on. I want to get sodas without having to pull out my fucking wallet. It sucks. I'm sick of it. I'm exhausted all day from this activity. But we all get the chips, and then what happens is. And of course, it would start off with like a decision to make. Like, you're like, what data in the chip do you want people to be able to see with augmented reality? And so, like, this is where you run into what I think the future is going to look like with this shit. Is it's like when you're walking around in your company and you're Employee of the Month, and everybody's wearing augmented reality goggles. You're going to have some kind of Employee of the Month halo around you, so everybody's aware that you made the most sales. Yeah. It's gonna be like that.
That would be the shit.
Yeah, it's gonna be like that for like, it's gonna be brutal as far as, let's say, credit scores go, right? Because if you've got a great credit score and you want to indicate to the world that if you want to get into debt, you can, baby, because you've got a great credit score, you're gonna have this glowing shit around you. And the moment one person decides to reveal that, everybody's gonna feel like they have to reveal it. And if you see someone who doesn't have like the good credit score crown or whatever, or like the banner of great credit floating in front of them, you're like, yeah, you're probably fucked, right? Like, you made some bad decisions. You'll see someone who's got a lot of shit, nice car, really nice clothes, but you'll be like, yeah, but he doesn't have the glowing medallion of good credit on his AR self, so I don't know if he really owns any of that stuff,
Right.
And then you know what I mean, then it's gonna like, there's gonna be all forms of that, which leads to like venereal disease. Like, you could go into a bar and if you just got tested and you're clean, so to speak, then maybe there's like a little AR like clean angel that like flies around your head. It's like, he doesn't have herpes. We can bareback. And like, you know what I mean? Like that those bits of data that if you don't show them, there's some reason to be suspicious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. You walk up to someone, they have no data. They're just blank. You'd be terrified.
Yeah.
You're just a person.
Who are
I'm
you?
just supposed to trust you.
Yeah,
You
fuck
could be a
that.
serial killer.
Fuck that.
We're
Yeah.
going to look back on times when we just would meet people like this and not have some halo to go by.
Yeah.
Like, if I see Jamie'd have like a nice golden glow. I'd be like, look at him. He's got a high approval rating.
Yeah.
He's got some cash.
Yeah.
That's a good catch.
Yeah. There you go.
If you go to a nightclub, all the dudes who are glowing gold,
Yeah.
people would be like, oh, and girls with like purple credit scores, they'd come in and try to get close to the guys in the gold, try to get a little of that gold on them, clean up that credit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, man.
Imagine if you knew, like, if a girl was really hot, but you look at her credit card, oh my God, bank fraud. Look at her. She's a bank frauder.
Yeah.
Like that, you don't get that gray outline unless you do bank fraud.
That's right. Yeah. And there's no way to get it off. It's like,
Can you imagine?
yeah. There's going to be big arguments about that where it's like, currently, if you're a registered sex offender, we know where you fucking live. And I get it, man. Like, that's good. That's good. But then it's going to be like, okay, but do we put that in their augmented reality chip profile so that anywhere they go, people are seeing that this is a person that hurts kids, Right. And there's going to be a conversation about that where people are like, fuck yeah, that's what you do. Like, I want to know if some like weirdo is like getting anywhere close to my kid, right? Fuck yeah, you let it. And anyway, that's the slippery slope that leads to the dystopian, like, Black Mirror future in that great episode where like there was like, and I think they are doing it in China.
They're doing it in China. Yeah,
Yeah.
they have a legit social score in China.
Yeah.
This is a real concern if this technology does get released in time and people people start using their COVID tests and putting it on their QR code, that little thing that you do with the photo, and it scans you like a plane ticket.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, you're good, Duncan. Seems like you're good. Make sure you keep that phone on you everywhere you go.
No problem, officer.
You know, Duncan, we got a email the other day. It shows that you have been going, I don't know who has this data, but you've been going down to San Clemente during the lockdown
Yeah.
to stay with friends.
No,
and
there's
that
a
is-
glory hole there that I like.
This is not allowed.
What?
You're traveling. Like, see, look, what if we do this? What if we go into this scanning thing, and then a new pandemic pops up, and we go into lockdown again? They're going to be able to find the people that aren't locking down. What if you got to drive somewhere in the middle of the night to go get something
Yeah.
important for your family?
Yeah.
Well, all of a sudden, you're being tracked. And then they call you. Duncan, where are you going?
Yeah,
Where are you going? We are looking at you right now. You're in San Clemente. You don't live in San Clemente. Why are you down there?
Yeah.
But I'm just freedom. Want to drive around? No. This is a lockdown.
Yeah.
There's a new flu. Go back home, Duncan.
You want to kill people?
It's a weird power to give people. The power to have a mayor tell you what you can do. That's never happened before. I'm not saying they're doing it because of that. I know why they're doing it. They're doing it to save lives. I'm 100% for it. Don't get me wrong here. But still, that power that anybody has to say you can't work, you got to stay home, you can't go to the park, you can't go to the beach. That power's weird. That's a lot of power, man.
Yeah.
You know, to be the person. Gavin, may we open? Not yet!
Yeah. Yeah.
Not yet! But what if they social distance? They need to make money.
Yeah.
We need to save lives.
Yeah. It sucks.
Yeah, there's no good answer.
It's a shit job, man. It's
Oof,
like
the shittiest.
That's the shittiest job because it's like you no decision you make is gonna make everybody happy. Any decision you make is gonna ruin someone's life, maybe kill them. And so yeah, all these people. It's
Also, no one thought that was going to be a part of the job.
right. Yeah, you didn't think that. You thought you were gonna deal with Gavin wasn't he didn't know that when he got in there, he was suddenly gonna be potentially one of the war leaders in Mad Max. He didn't understand that was gonna be his world.
Dude, this is how poorly they thought this through. Garcetti is giving people money to snitch. They're giving people money to snitch on social distance violators.
What?
Yeah, so if you go over to your buddy Mike's house for a barbecue, there's 8 people in that backyard. Helen, look!
That's
look,
fucked up.
8 fucking people! We're over here social distancing! That cunt Duncan Trussell is over at Mike's house, barbecuing, drinking beers, probably wife swapping, pigs!
Wife swapping!
And then Garcetti comes along and offers people money to rat you out. How much do they get?
If they've even done that yet.
It can't be real. I saw that. I just thought that's not
it was
real.
real. They were offering people rewards.
What?
To rat out social distance violators. Disgusting. I mean, how you don't know that leads to Maoist China and fucking Stalinist Russia? How you don't know that getting people to rat on people leads to North Korea? I'm not saying we're gonna be in North Korea, but that kind of shit, that's where that comes from. That's how it starts. You can't pay people to rat people out.
Yeah.
You fucking asshole. What a shitty, poorly thought out idea that is.
No shit, man. They're any form of. I saw something popped up on my Instagram. Some company saying if you're aware that your bosses are violating software, don't have licensed software, we'll give you a reward. Inviting people, disgruntled employees who know that their boss is running stolen Photoshop or whatever to make a little money and fuck their boss over. And it's that invitation to snitch, that is a satanic invitation, man. That is I don't care what level it's at, in general, unless you're looking at hardcore Snowden level whistleblower, you've been down in the deep underground military bases and you saw the fucking fucking thing in the egg that could read your mind, and you're like, I can't keep it to myself. I'm gonna fucking tell people.
Exactly.
You know,
right?
I get that, but like any the other versions of it, yeah, fuck that. Don't invite us to snitch. Don't encourage that behavior. There's better ways to do it, I'm sure, than like bounties on your fucking neighbors. That's fucked up, man.
Fucked up. It's
Yeah.
just so fucked up that someone who would get as high as mayor of
Yeah.
Los Angeles would let an idea like that slip through the cracks.
Well,
Like, what fucking fascist do you have working in that office that, like, I got an idea.
oh god.
Pay people to rat people out.
Yeah.
These fucks, they haven't been working.
Yeah.
They need money for masks.
Yeah. That's it.
He,
What is it?
He did say snitches get rewards, but he said it's the opposite of snitches get stitches. I can't
Oh,
find anything.
no, they'll definitely get
I
stitches.
can't find anything saying like they get $50, $100. This is the reward you get. He might be like
The opposite of snitches get stitches.
Yeah.
As if they're not still snitches, and as if snitches don't still get stitches.
Right.
What are you talking about? You gonna absolutely make sure that these people don't get beat up for being snitches? You're gonna step in with cops, give them 24-hour security guards. If you find out that your neighbor ratted you out for money, oh my God, you'd want to kill him. It would be like, what happened to that dude? What's his face? Ron Paul's kid. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
The congressman who got tackled.
Oh,
The
that's
fuck's his
right.
name? Rand Paul.
Yeah.
Rand Paul, his neighbor was like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Just out of nowhere tackles him, smashes his ribs. He lost a piece of his lung.
Yeah, man. That's fucked up. And it's like, because what you're asking for there, which is another thing that I think the state, anytime anyone starts doing this, then you really have to start thinking about who you voted for. But like, because the idea is like, I love it when, you know, and I'm cheesy and I am a fucking hippie and I get accused of stoner talking shit, but yeah, I want there to be world peace and I want people to
too.
love each other. And when I see, you know, even the slightest thing that like transcends political divides, where like, you know, people who've hated fucking Trump and people Trump have hated, I saw something where like, I can't remember who it was. Like, God, what's the name of the Mormon politician that was running for president against Trump?
Mitt Romney?
Romney.
Yeah.
So some dude, like, voted against releasing money to people who don't have jobs. And Mitt Romney tweeted, well, that senator, whoever he was, tested positive for being an asshole. And
Mitt Romney
yeah,
wrote that?
Mitt Romney said that. And fucking, you know, and then like there was this just flickering moment where Trump retweets that or says something about it and says like, I didn't know he had that sense of humor, but I liked it. And like, for that one stupid moment, there's a second where it's like, we're supposed to be on the same team.
Right.
And like, you know, that's not a political statement.
Right.
That's like a statement of survivability. And when you have a fucking, when you have and again, I'm not saying bow down to the state or anything like that either. That's the opposite of what I'm saying. I'm not saying, therefore, we all got to be on the side of the president. None of that shit. I'm not saying any of that shit, man. So don't take this the wrong way, because
right. I
that's
know what
not
you're
what I'm saying.
I get it.
What I'm saying is, when anything that divides one neighbor from the next, anything that invites neighbors to divide instead of unite, is cancerous, literally, for society, in the sense that what's going to start happening is that the pixel of society is the neighbors. That's like the connection between your neighbors makes up the tapestry of the entire country. And that connection, if it's broken or weird or fucked up, then that's fucking everything up. And so to invite anything that fucks that up is, to me, really, really long-term disastrous. It's like the idea would be like, hey, is your neighbor an old person? Go find out if your neighbor's an old person and can't get food. And if they are and you get food to them, we'll pay for it.
Right.
How about that?
Yes.
That's beautiful.
Yes.
Like you know someone who's like fucked up right now, let us know so we can make sure their kids aren't starving.
Right.
Are there any, do you know, like, man, what about the fucking kids whose parents are right now super fucking sick with this shit? Like, why we need governors and we need people saying like, you need to know where the kids are in the building so that whose parents are sick, so we can make sure those kids are getting taken care of while their parents are all in bed and shit. Like, so fuck that. That is what people get rewards for. That, why don't we have a way of monetizing kindness in acts of like grace to your neighbors instead of monetizing like you becoming like literally what is a universally derided thing, which is a snitch. You don't want to be a snitch. Fuck snitches get stitches. No, maybe they don't get stitches, but man, I'll tell you, when you die, wouldn't want to be you. Wouldn't want to be a snitch in the afterlife. I'll tell you that, man. You get devoured by spirit wolves. Like, I bet just
Spirit wolves?
I'm sure you don't get the like experience of like, you know, going through the bar, seeing your mom come running to you with like a bowl of soup. It's your mom. She comes running to you and you think it's a bowl of soup, but you look in it, it's your wife's head. And then you look back up, it's a spirit wolf. It's like, so you thought it was smart to snitch in that dimension, huh? Nah, no.
It eats your soul forever.
Yeah, maybe. Just don't snitch. That's fucked up. I mean,
Well, it's just ridiculous that someone in a position of real leadership, right? You're the mayor of a huge city, and you would think that would be a good idea. Listen, people are going to snitch on people anyway.
Yeah.
But to encourage them with financial reward is crazy.
Crazy.
It is crazy, and it's so poorly thought out.
yeah, that's a dumb idea to put out there.
Such a poor understanding of human nature.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know where this goes?
Yeah.
Like, and it also, in a time of great duress, you're encouraging people to snitch.
Yeah.
This is absolutely the time we've got to be encouraging camaraderie.
Yeah.
This is when things are weird. Everybody's forced into the same position. No one can do what they want. When was the last time you were on stage? I haven't been on stage in a month.
I've been doing private shows for my son. Just kidding. I haven't been
I'm
on
sure they're
fucking stage.
great. We literally, our job has stopped, and our job might not come back until January.
Yeah, that's
You know?
right. Maybe.
Who knows? Who knows? We don't know. I've got some gigs booked, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to do them. I got a gig booked in September. I got two in September.
Yeah.
I got a couple in October.
I got
Who knows?
Octobers, but it's like also it's not like you should be like you can't really promote the show right now without seeming like a blazing dick. I don't want to encourage
for sure.
people to go out, and it's like, yeah, that's the problem, man. Is we but here's the thing. This whatever the state is doing, the state's gonna do. This is my favorite Jesus saying. Offer unto Caesar what is Caesar's, which is like, there's a game going on here with power, and if you think you're going to subvert that game, probably not. Best thing to do, let the dragon do whatever the fuck the dragon's going to do, but don't let them cause you to forget that you don't need the state to like go over to like leave a note on your neighbor's door asking if they're okay.
Right.
You know what I mean? We don't need the mechanisms of some bureaucracy to do good, like to pick up trash.
Right.
Like that was the thing that happened when the fucking national parks all got defunded because of this bullshit. All of a sudden, like there's people are taking pictures of garbage in the national parks, right? And the implication of that is like, we can't clean this up ourselves. We need a state official to come and pick the trash up. And it's like, it's nice that they do that and we pay taxes for that and they should do that. But if they're not doing it and we're waiting for some hero from the state to come in and fix our fucking problems, that's lazy. That's bad thinking. It's like, I think as a people, the idea is more to like transcend that addiction to being saved, that addiction that for sure someone's coming. Sometimes they come.
Right.
But sometimes they don't. And that's no reason to like put off just the basic shit, man. Like, we put out sometimes in front of our house, we'll just put out shit to give to people. We've got fruit trees. There's fruit, there's like, the garden's got like some shit growing in it. I'll put it out there, and people take every bit of it. You come back at the end of the day, it's, we've got flowers. So cut some flowers and just leave flowers out there in case someone wants to bring a flower to somebody. It's an act of trust because you don't know what, I might be covered in like COVID mucus doing like, rose for my neighbors. But
Right.
That being said, I don't know, maybe they're desanitizing. But my point is, like, cool shit happens. Sometimes you go out to that box and, like, they've replaced something. Like, we gave flowers away when we came out, and then someone had put different kinds of flowers in the box for those flowers. You know what I mean?
Sounds like you got a stalker.
Yeah, actually, now that I think about it, the flowers. It did seem like there was something like sticky and creamy on the flowers that I thought. But I'm saying, like, again, this to me, the not getting too much in the macro, because I'll go insane if I get in the macro. Mm-hmm. Getting into the micro, which is literally your direct neighbors, and like making some connection with them. Like the guy who lives across the street, we talked for like 2 minutes. It was wonderful. And he's like, if you need tools, just let me know. I got a ton of tools. Just, you can message me and I'll come and leave them here and you can come and get them. Shit like that.
That's nice.
It's cool. And it's like, it's just beautiful. It's like, that's what it's supposed to be like.
Yeah, that's nice. You got a good neighbor.
That's it. Yeah.
Having good neighbors is everything.
Everything.
People that hate their neighbors, like, man, you should just move. Save yourself some agony.
Yeah, well, you can't sometimes. That's the problem.
Well, we all need, we talked about this before. We need to find a cul-de-sac. Don't buy houses there.
You mean the cult?
Yes.
I know.
Well, you think a ranch would do the trick? It's tough to get people to live on a ranch.
No, the way you're talking about, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's not that hard. Like, I think the way you do it is in phases, right? So, like, the first thing would be just get the land, right?
Right.
And then
hire an architect.
Yeah, hire an architect, and then
bring in Alex Gray.
Yeah.
that thing that he did in upstate New York.
It's beautiful.
Have you been there personally?
I've been there I haven't been there since it's completion. I don't even know if it's completed, but I've been there in the early phases, and yeah, that for sure is a temple. Like, it's no joke. It's not like they're just saying it's a temple. That's a real.
And the way he printed those weird faces, those multi-feature faces, and used them in the corners of the building. What does he call it again?
I can't remember. I'm sorry.
Cosm.
Oh, Cosm. I thought you meant what he called those faces. He has a name for the faces too.
Is that the Chapel of Sacred Mirrors? Is that what it sounds for? But isn't that Cosm used to be what he called the place in New York City, right? He had the place in Manhattan.
Yeah, they had this. I think they still do have a beautiful place in New York, actually, or like an artist loft there, I believe. But like they ended up realizing it was time to like
spread their wings,
build a temple.
Yeah, and then really go somewhere in nature.
Yeah.
They're in like a small New York town, right?
Yeah, that's right.
New York State town.
Yeah. It's a beautiful place.
And they're a legit religion. Entheon, that's right.
And they're an actual religion, which they are.
They are.
I mean, that is a religion.
Yeah, it is a religion. And by the way, a religion doesn't want anything from you. Like, they're not trying to get 10% of your money.
No.
They're not giving you a bunch of rules to follow.
Nope.
They want you to worship love and creativity. It's a really interesting place. That's just an image of what it's going to look like. I don't think it's really quite there yet, but holy shit.
Yeah, man.
Can you imagine coming up to that, like walking up to that front door and you're like, oh my God, what the hell am I looking at?
Dude, when I was on tour, they let me park my tour bus there because we needed a place to sleep for the night. So I had to sleep in front of that thing in my tour bus, and it hadn't even gotten to that phase, but I had crazy dreams just sleeping there. Yeah, it was wild, man.
That's probably like one of those if you build it, they will come things. Like, do you imagine how hard you would trip inside that place? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no.
Like, I don't think it's a. Like, you could do DMT in a shitty apartment and still have some crazy mind-blowing trip, but you can't tell me that coming to this place and going through this Entheon portal, that this isn't gonna have some fucking crazy effect on the way you trip.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But that was the idea of a temple. I mean, the idea is, I'm not just saying to trip or whatever, but the concept is like, let's acknowledge the fact that maybe our ideas aren't necessarily coming from inside our brains. Let's just, as a fantasy, imagine that there is a divine intelligence that, as one of the many beautiful things it pushes into this particular realm, is art. And that if we can figure out a way to purify the connection with that thing, then we become receivers for that. And by doing that, we allow that thing to begin to exist in this world. And a temple was a place that allowed that connection to be refined, purified, intentionalized. And in that, there's a solidification called inspiration or art or whatever the name is you want to give it, but it's like output from a place that maybe is, a few floors up from the one we're at, that's having a pretty wonderful party right now. And like part of what we do is like allow it to drip into this realm, which is potentially a denser realm. We're in the realm of matter. It's dense, and like ideas, if you look at your ideas, they're light. They're like they don't have at least my ideas, like they're not like heavy. Inspiration feels like barely anything. In fact, it's so barely anything. Think how easy it is to miss a good idea. How easy it is to think something cool that maybe you want to write down for a joke, and you're just, I'll write that down later, and then it's gone. It's light. It's light. And so in part of what they, I think, are all about, or I mean, again, that's me putting it on them. They have a wonderful description on their website about what they're all about. But to me, part of what creation is taking those things, allowing them to come through you, and then allowing this realm to do what it does, which is to crystallize them in a denser form that other people can enjoy. And, that enjoyment is that's enough. It doesn't have to be some lofty ass shit. It's just like people get a little, like, this tiny little smell of heaven, of like a better place, a lighter place, a place that isn't encumbered by so much bullshit as this particular realm. That can like completely take someone out of a depression, man. That can completely give somebody the, juice they need to like get back out there and like open up themselves to the world and not be shut down. Just one little like tiny minuscule reminder of like, don't worry, this isn't the only place. There's simultaneously amazing things happening which you're part of. You just don't realize it yet. And don't worry. McKenna used to, in one of his essays, that's what he'd say on mushrooms, is he would get this message, don't worry, we're coming. Don't worry, we're coming. And you know what I mean? But I think that's what art does, is it gives you this sense of like, don't worry. Right now, we're just building the runway. Don't worry. It's coming. I know this place seems fucked up. It's a little dense right now. We're going to lighten it up. And then that...
How much of that is your own imagination, though? Like, how much of your own imagination stimulates your trips? I mean, we want to assume that we're really interacting with something, right?
Yeah.
On the other side. But why do we assume that that's something? Obviously, it's not static. One of the things about tryptamine experiences is that things twist and change and morph and shift. They never stay any one thing for any length of time. They're always becoming other things and moving in and out of things. Like, maybe that's just what happens over there. Maybe these things are constantly shifting and changing. Maybe what we're doing is we're trying to apply, when we think of how we are here in this life, we're trying to apply those laws to whatever we experience when we do that. But it seems so alien. When you have those experiences, it seems so alien. Like, you're not going to be able to bring any of that back. You can give someone like little glimpses.
Yeah.
And what Alex has done the best is capture like, oh, I know what he's doing. Like those faces, those like almost Egyptian-looking golden faces that are moving and apart from each other. Like, you go, oh yeah, I've seen something. Yeah, something sort of. Yeah, there's a tryptamine part to that.
Yeah.
But that, whatever that would be in that dimension, it would change and become something else instantaneously, and then become something else, and a lot of it has to do with how you're thinking, which is weird. It's like, is the way you're thinking actually affecting those things, or is the way you're thinking affecting your perception of whatever this energy is and how it manifests itself visually?
Well, I mean, this is that, right? Even in what you're saying, there's this assumption that your thinking is separate from the thing.
Right.
And so we have a thought, and we're thinking to ourselves, I just got a good idea. We don't know that if we had a different way of quantifying time and space, we might have just seen some ethereal mist drift through us that produced a thing we called a thought that we thought must be us. So you look at a thing in that realm and it's shifting and converting, and you notice that conversion seems to be happening in relation to like how you're feeling. And now you're in a chicken or the egg conversation, which is like, who's reflecting who here? Like, which of us is like real and which of us isn't? Or are we just kind of am I just seeing who I actually am, but because I live in a world of individuality, and I live in a world where there's a separate quality to things. I have to see you as separate, because if I don't, I can't see you. All I can do, I'm seeing myself in you, which is, I think, what is happening in this realm anyway. It's like anything you're looking at right now is some phenomena being painted instantaneously by your imagination. That's what the imagination is doing. It's painting colors onto the universe of infinite phenomena that your brain is like doing out of habit. So that's that. Anyone you're around, you make an instantaneous assessment of that person, or you begin to like realize like, wait, I got a bad vibe about that person. I bet something's off with them. And then you go into like your TV psychic bullshit. Like, oh yeah, really? Oh really? Is that the instincts you learned? Where'd you learn that? World of Warcraft?
The streets.
Yeah, no, you don't know. But I've done that. By the way, I'm talking about myself, where I'm like, yeah, I just can tell if a person is honest or it's like, no, I can't.
You can definitely tell if a person's really fucking weird though.
That's for sure.
You can tell if a person's off, like they're not really connecting with you, or they're
Yeah.
pretending to connect with you, and you're like, whoa, I got a weird vibe from this guy.
Yeah, that.
Meanwhile, if you looked at what he said on paper and what you said on paper, would be totally normal.
That's true.
There's sometimes certain things, a violation of space. There's a weirdness to the way they look
yeah.
at you, a cadence.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, you're off.
I hate that feeling, man. That's a deeper thing. When the alarm bells go off like that, your hair starts standing up. You're like,
oh, gotta go.
I fucking hate that. That's scary. But, I'm just saying, sometimes you're not right. And this is like why you need empiricism in science, because sometimes you're not right. Like, just because you think that's how shit is from some instinct inside of you doesn't mean that's how things is. You're biased. And so that's the projection. That's like that's the part of you that you're still dealing with some trauma from when you're a kid, and you're seeing that trauma in all the things around you. And so you're like in an argument with someone who hurt you 20 years ago when you're talking to somebody who vaguely reminds you of that person. And if you're, you know what I mean? Like, you're still having the argument. And if you're not aware that you're still having that argument, then you can start saying shit like, why do I always end up with the same person?
Yeah.
It's like, I always draw this kind of person to me. And it's like, well, maybe you're drawing the exact same kind of person to you, or maybe you're running the same movie on a different screen and being like, I've seen this before. I keep seeing this movie. It's like, that's the same movie. It's like you're seeing the same thing you're projecting. It's just, it looks like now it's not Tom, it's Alex, or now it's not Lisa. You're looking at Samantha, but you're still seeing this thing. And that's the projection. So anyway, that's the imagination. And the question is,
These days, people are wondering how and when the global economy will recover from its current downturn. While no one can predict the future, eToro users recommend that we look for insights by seeing how the markets reacted to health crises in the past. As you can see here, after an initial drop, the markets rebounded in approximately 6 months. Short-term dips tended to be followed by a continuation of upward trends. For example,
how powerful is that projection? Because sometimes you start projecting onto someone how you think they are, and if that person's weak or insecure, they'll start acting the way you think they are.
Yes.
Now your projection is sprung to life in front of you because you've essentially animated a person with your expectation of them. And then because that person is acting the way you thought they would act because they don't know the fuck they are, you're making monsters with your imagination.
Well, that's what cult leaders do, right? That's how you start a sex cult.
How?
Same way. You gotta take these people and like put it in their head that this is what they do.
Oh, right.
Put it in their head.
Right. Yeah, that's right. You say you see it.
Yes.
I see it in you.
Well, in this book, I told you about this book, Chaos, Tom O'Neill's book on Manson and the CIA.
Yeah.
Did I tell you about this?
No, I saw your tweet about it.
Oh my God, dude.
What is it?
Oh my God.
Manson was tied up with the CIA?
Oh my God. Almost definitely a part of these fucking psychedelics, LSD experiments that they were doing on hippies. Almost definitely experimented on him, probably in prison, but almost definitely allowed him to get out of when he violated his parole, let him loose, let him free, supply him with acid,
Yeah.
monitor him, They were monitoring him every step of the way. They like fed that monster. They knew that this guy had been incarcerated half his life. He was a con man, and they taught him how to be a cult leader. And they probably talked him into, or taught him how to talk people into killing people, and to do so with acid. And they would dose him up, and he would make people do all kinds of shit. Like he would take people, like, okay, you're gonna fuck her, and he's gonna fuck him, and they would put together these orgies. He would put together orgies. I mean, he would sodomize kids in front of them, like horrific shit.
Fucked up.
Yeah. He was like some boy that was like 15 years old. He did crazy shit. They were all on acid. They committed murder. He directed them to commit murder. But all of this very connected to the CIA's MK Ultra project. All of it.
Yeah, man.
Very connected to multiple different ways. Connected to LSD and hippies, LSD and mind control, LSD trying to come up with a Manchurian candidate, trying to get someone to commit murder and not even realize they did it. Also connected to Lee Harvey Oswald, because Jack Ruby was all fucked up on that program when he killed Lee Harvey Oswald, and afterwards went completely insane. Was seen by the very same doctor that was running the clinic where Manson used to go. This guy was a CIA doctor, was a psychologist or a psychiatrist dosing people up with LSD, running studies on prisoners, getting students to run studies, getting scientists to run studies, not even knowing they were doing it through the CIA.
Kaczynski too, don't forget.
Oh yeah, Kaczynski. How about Operation Midnight Climax? Ran brothels in San Francisco and a couple other places where they dosed people up with acid and watched them fuck.
How dare they name it that?
I know, Midnight Climax.
That's so dumb. It sounds like, you know what it sounds like? That sounds like the name of like porn in a hotel that you could watch.
Yes, it's like a secret agent that sucks everyone's dick.
Midnight Climax. Whoever named that really tells you a lot about the program. But like, you know, man, here's a controversial fucking thing to say, which someone reminded me of a while ago, which really freaked me out kind of, which is like, back then, when, like, there was, like, right now we know a little bit more about some of the shit the CIA did. A lot of it because they put it on their website. Yes. Which is so crazy to me. They just put it up on their website, which is crazy. But back then...
What stuff did they put up on their website?
Dude, are you fucking kidding? Like all the shit about the remote viewing experiments they did. Like I
interviewed that main guy that they had for remote viewing. What was that fucking famous guy? There's one famous guy that I interviewed. He's like famous in the remote viewing world.
I know you're talking. The guy who wrote the movie, or didn't write it, but the documentary
Man Who Stares
Kill
at Goats.
Shot was he the guy who talked about a kill shot, or that's what the name for the thing that happens when the sun fucks up? It didn't fuck up. I mean, who am I to say the sun fucked up? But for us, it fucked up. Does like not a supernova, but just does a big ass flare that like kind of like melts whatever side of the earth happens to be facing it. You know, that's like the kill shot that a lot of these remote viewers were apparently saying that they were seeing, because they were realizing that they weren't sort of bound by time in these visions. And they all started sharing this vision of this thing. It's really a creepy documentary out there, man. But
that's 100% on the table. Like some giant solar flare, some solar incident. That's 100% on the table.
Have we, by the way, I'm sorry if we talked about this the last episode. Have we talked about the CIA's website yet?
What about their website?
Have you ever gone to it?
No.
Jamie, would you mind pulling that up? I've applied for a job.
You applied for a job with the CIA?
Well, I was stoned and it was late at night, and I'm like, wait, you can apply online? Check it out, dude.
Whoa. Ask Molly? There's a cartoon?
Yeah.
Hold on, back up.
This is the CIA's website.
Ask Molly, your CIA source on the inside, and it's hashtag Ask Molly Hale. And Molly Hale is like a hot agent. This week's Ask Molly Hale question comes from a writer who wants to know if there's a path forward for them at CIA since they have done illegal drugs in the past.
They took my question!
That's your question.
No, I'm just kidding.
It seems like it's your question. Since they have done illegal drugs in the past. Let's see what Molly's answer is. Let's see Molly's answer. So it says, find Molly's answer. What does Molly say? Let me be clear on this from the get-go. Having previously used illegal drugs does not immediately disqualify you from working at CIA. If working for CIA is your life's goal, and we certainly hope it is, there could be a path for you here. With that said, there are certain restrictions you should be aware of, especially if you've used illegal drugs within the past year. Generally speaking, to be eligible for CIA employment, applicants must not have used illegal drugs within the past 12 months.
Ah, damn.
Shit. This is, as with most things, a general rule by which to gauge your hireability at, that's not a word, kids.
Is that a typo?
Only an applicant, but not only an applicant, but as the potential holder of a security clearance. It might seem a bit archaic, but consider the access to information we're giving at CIA employees. And consequences of granting access to the wrong person. How much access to information? Just read that real quick. It might seem a bit archaic, but consider the access to information we're giving at CIA employees. What access are you giving them?
You're in a simulator. That's probably the first thing they say after you get hired. They're like, it's a simulator. We're just doing like what the programmer wants. It's like, I know you're going to freak out for 2 months. We're going to give you like a protocol of antidepressants because you can go nihilistic or absurdist when you realize you're just a string of code that's running, but you'll get over it. And then there's an egg. You can go, the thing reads your mind. It's kind of cool. We'll show you that later.
Officers regularly handle classified information, which, if leaked, could spell disaster for national security and endanger the life of CIA officers. This is my favorite word. Assets and their family. Assets is one of my favorite words they use. We have an asset in Jerusalem. An asset? You got an asset?
Yeah.
Is it a person? You know a guy? Yeah, well, he's an asset. He's an asset.
Yeah.
He's a number? Like, what's an asset? An asset is like
Friend.
stocks. You got an asset? You got I got stock in Palestinians. I got some Palestinians I've saved up.
Yeah.
I've got some assets.
Just some people you connected with.
I connect with them. They're my assets.
Yeah.
And now you may be wondering, that's all fine, Molly, but I live in a state where marijuana use was legalized under state law. So why would any of this really apply in my case? The short answer is, or would any of this really apply in my case? The short answer is, yes. Marijuana remains illegal under federal law in every state. The CIA is bound by federal law, which prohibits CIA from granting security clearances to unlawful users of controlled substances, including marijuana. State laws do not supersede those of the federal government, the great Lord who looks over the land with an iron fist. For more information regarding the federal government security clearance guidelines regarding drug use and other considerations, you can check out the...
What if the next line was like, hey, what's up, Joe? That's cool you're showing this on your podcast. No!
It's a simulation.
But I do think, like, in there is they're also kind of saying, like, that being said, if you can set shit on fire with your mind or something when you're stoned, come talk to us. It's like, you know what I mean? They are saying, like, the other cool thing when you look at him applying for a job is it says, after you apply, don't tell anybody you apply for the job. We'll, like, approach you regarding the job, which is so fucking cool. You can't talk about it when you apply.
And meanwhile, they're absolutely checking your phone.
They're checking your... I applied and, like, I just leaned into the fact that, like, fuck it, they're going to look at everything I do. And then also, like, imagining that at some point, some CIA agent might come up to me like, hey, what's up, man? Hey, what's going on? Did you really want to be a bookkeeper at the Pentagon? No, I wanted to meet a CIA agent, dude. Hello. Because, I mean... You know, wouldn't you like to meet? I mean,
I know one.
You know a CIA agent?
I've had him on the podcast multiple times. Mike Baker. He does a lot of consulting for TV shows and security stuff.
So you are an is he working for them now?
No, well.
How would you know?
He's a former CIA operative. What does that mean? Do you really think they ever stop talking to each other? No. He does security clearance stuff and security stuff. Has a security company.
Did he? So wait. So this guy, did you ask him about the Manson shit?
No, I just found out about this shit really recently. Fitzsimmons told me about this guy. Tom O'Neill was his neighbor for like 20 years. He was neighbors with Greg, and Greg, the whole time, he was doing this book while Greg was friends with him.
Right.
It took him 20 years to write this book. Started out as an article for Premiere Magazine, and then as he started uncovering all these inconsistencies with the trial, he realized that there was kind of a bullshit trial, and that the prosecuting attorney, like everybody had, there was deals that everybody had made to have a specific narrative go through, and Susan Atkins, one of the people from the Manson family who's on trial, her fucking defense attorney was like a former prosecuting attorney that had worked with Vincent Bugliosi and all these other people before. They were all buddies.
Wow.
And they signed him to her to take over for her state-appointed attorney. This guy took over, and like they followed directions. Like everybody followed directions. And as he was going deeper and deeper into this story, he realized like there was a lot of crazy shit that was going on. That first of all, Manson for sure was let out of jail multiple times when he shouldn't have been. When he was violating parole,
Oh, man.
he was let out of jail repeatedly for crazy shit like theft, and and they were monitoring these people. They knew where they were staying. They knew the ranch, the Spawn Ranch, where they were staying at. They never did anything. They let them go whenever they were in trouble, and most likely got him the fucking LSD.
Have you looked up the Finders cult yet?
What is that one?
I shouldn't even brought it up.
I'm not even doing a good job with this. That last description, because I didn't think I was going to talk about it. But this thing blew my mind. Like, you got to listen to this audiobook. Listen to the audiobook, or just maybe just listen to some of the podcasts and you'll get sucked in. This guy was obsessed with this for 20 years. It's all he thought of. It's all he did. It was his life's work.
Okay, you had the CIA agent you had on. He's cool, right?
He seems like a good guy.
Is he your friend?
I like the guy.
So, and you know what's so bizarre? And like, I don't even want to say it, but I think it's like, because you say it and then people see you say it and they're like, see, you're all in the CIA. But something I was bitching to Rick Doblin about on a podcast, and I was like doing this thing I used to do when I was younger, which is like trying to create a all evil, all good binary regarding people who work like in the CIA or people who work in even the DEA or whatever. That thing you do when you're like, when you're being lazy in your way of thinking, right?
Being binary.
And Doblin, one of the things he said to me that I've always kept with me is he's like, there's people like us, like all the way to the top. There's people who like look at drug laws right now, and
Two people from the CIA listen to this podcast.
right.
Yeah, I know of that.
Right. So it's like I mean,
FBI.
yeah.
Listen to this podcast.
That's what I'm saying, man. Is like the thing that's somewhat annoying in the sense that it requires nuance rather than like a heavy-handed. They're all evil. Is some of the people in there are really like 100% trying to keep at least people here from getting blown the fuck up.
Yes.
And and like they're not like oh God, let's find another Manson. Oh, we gotta
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
I went and got this tour of actually JPL, the place Parsons was at, man, and like I think it was BP or Shell or some like oil company that I had like just generally we all look at the oil companies and think they're all the worst. While you're driving in your car, you'll be like, these fucking oil companies. But like they were working on some kind of new solar panel technology. It was like Shell, or I don't remember which fucking company it was. I remember saying to the guy, like, this technology, if it works, doesn't this destroy the oil industry? Like, don't they know they're working on a technology that's going to make the thing they make money selling and buying irrelevant? And he's like, oh, no, these companies are so big that there's departments within departments within departments. And that's where it gets fucking crazy about the CIA, which is like, the people in the CIA don't know. Obviously, all the people in the CIA.
Exactly.
That's your security clearance. And the question is, how deep does that basement go, man, under the CIA?
But here's also the question.
Yeah.
How are you going to find out what happens when people take LSD without giving people LSD and studying them? Ready, go. You're not. So if you're in 1953, okay, and you're finding out about LSD, and people are taking LSD at parties, and people are taking LSD at concerts, and you start realizing the ramifications of a society in 1964 that's all taking LSD, and you see this hippie movement, you're going to run some studies. So then you're going to give people the ability to test people without their knowledge. You don't know how crazy that guy is, what kind of a sociopath that guy is, and he's going to run tests on people without their knowledge and give them LSD. And then there's going to be people that say, hey, we want to infiltrate all these anti-war groups. We want to infiltrate the Black Panthers. We want to infiltrate these hippies.
Yeah.
How can we do that? Well, here's how we do that. We take this guy, we got him in prison for half of his fucking life in federal prison so far. He's 32 years old.
Yeah.
Let's dose this motherfucker up with LSD. Let's run some studies on him, and let's tell him that he's a cult leader and get him to make some apocalyptic fucking death cult that wants to kill people and write pig on the wall in their blood. And so they let Manson, they knew where he was. They knew he was getting acid. They knew that he was probably having people kill people.
Yeah, well, okay, first of all, to go back, man, if you really study the spread of LSD into popular culture, it wasn't that the CIA saw people taking LSD at parties. It's that the CIA, as I understand the story, goes and buys from Sandoz Laboratories all of their LSD and then begins to do tests on college campuses where people begin to take the LSD and then the parties start. So I think it's more like the CIA started the party when it comes to LSD, or at least were majorly involved in the initial experience people had with LSD, which was like, that's when you get Tim Leary, that's when you get Richard Alpert, Ram Dass. They were both like hanging out at Harvard, where the same psychology professor who did this shit on Kaczynski was, and like LSD, they were doing, I don't know if they were doing the LSD test there, but these tests were going on. They were being exposed to LSD that theoretically, I don't know if it came from the CIA or not, but I don't know like where I think those tests they were ordering it from Sandoz, but for sure, like, who wrote One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest? Damn it, I can't believe I can't remember that author's name.
Kesey.
Yeah, King Kesey. He did one of the CIA LSD. He was in one of the CIA LSD experiments. So like,
oh, that makes sense.
And also, man, like back then, I don't think, because we didn't get the Manson, the Kaczynski, or all the awful shrapnel, weird shards of chaos that exploded off of the crazy, unethical shit they did, I don't know if there was so much of an idea that they were evil. I could be wrong about that, but they weren't even called the CIA. I think they were called the OSS.
In the beginning, yeah. Yeah. But by the time the CIA was running a fucking clinic in Haight-Ashbury that closed down after like 30 years of being open, or 40 years of being open, closed down 3 months after this book came out. I'm like, well, that's a wrap. Yes. Yeah, Jolly West, the same guy who visited Jack Ruby in the hospital, and after he left, Jack Ruby went insane. He was crawling underneath the table and thought that Jewish children were getting lit on fire and cut apart in the streets, and a new Holocaust was going on.
Fuck.
Immediately he has to. They have no record of him acting insane before this at all. He didn't even understand why he shot Lee Harvey Oswald.
It's so fucked up.
Yeah. Well, they think that the same thing happened with Sirhan Sirhan, the guy who shot Robert Kennedy. They think that he was under the influence as well, because he had the same reaction after he shot him. Like, why am I here? What happened? That they used LSD to somehow or another get these people to commit atrocities, to kill people, to murder people.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and you can probably, I know you can. If we go on the CIA, the crazy thing is, you can go on their website, look at the Freedom of Information Act archives, and they have MK Ultra shit up there right now that you can look at. That's where it gets really weird. It's like, they're like, yeah,
but they never admit that they gave people. That was the thing about Jolly West. He never admitted that he gave people LSD and did studies on them. Never admitted it.
I think
while he was alive, at least. I mean, I don't know if they're admitting it now because of the Freedom of Information. Well, they must, because Operation Midnight Climax that's an officially historical record.
Yeah.
So they must be now. But when they were operating this clinic, Manson and the family were going into that clinic all the time. There's a 100% direct connection between the CIA doctors who are providing LSD to the hippies and Manson going to this clinic.
That is
this book is crazy.
Man, that does not sound like pandemic reading to me.
It's the best.
Are you sure, man?
Go deep.
I don't know, man. Like, I'm
deep.
I'm already like weirded out by like just bad understanding of astronomy. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know that I need to like get into shit about the CIA, especially because it's like, you know, I don't know. It's just too much, you know? That being said, I'm going to definitely fucking read that book.
Well, just listen to the podcast. That's the easiest. You'll get your dick wet, listen to the podcast, and then you're going to want to listen to the audiobook or read the book. But he has 60 pages of citations and references at the end of the book to show each thing and how he can prove it. Like he's got some speculation that he entertained at the very end of the book, and we talked about it on the podcast, but the stuff that he knows for sure to be true is bonkers.
Can I ask you a question that will probably get made into like a YouTube clip accusing you of being an asset of the CIA?
Sure.
So, okay, let's imagine this. One day you get contacted by somebody who's in the CIA and they show you convincing data regarding something, you know, whatever it may be, meteor impact, some other impending danger that is like, you look at it and it's like, whatever it is they give you, you believe it. And they're like, listen, Joe, we know that you're like a wild animal, and we know that like you don't want to be dishonest, and we understand that, but we got to figure out a way to get this kind of information out to the world, because if we don't, like it's going to be really bad, and we're just going to people like you and just trying to get whatever the thing is they want you to say, a little thing, an idea of how they want you to be, and they're not offering you money. They're not offering you money. And they're also like saying like, don't worry, if you say no.
Duncan, did you get that job at the CIA?
What? Excuse me? Did I get the job at the CIA?
Did you get that job that you applied for?
No!
It seems like you're priming me.
What?
For you're gonna give me a suggestion later.
Listen.
I know what you're doing, man.
Joe, have you ever thought of a blue butterfly, Joe? yeah. But seriously, what would your response be if like someone's like, look, we just need your help?
Listen, I think Central Intelligence Agency, I think FBI, I think the DEA, I think they're all necessary. I don't think they're unnecessary. I think that most of what they're doing is trying to protect us.
Let's do the Illuminati logo for the YouTube.
I do think also that some of those guys turn into fucking cowboys and try to fly coke back from Mexico and crash CIA jets.
Right.
That's true too.
Yes.
All that shit that happened in Mena, Arkansas, you know, all that shit that happened when Clinton was governor, with Barry Seals, when they were running coke back and forth and dropping it off in Mena, Arkansas.
Yeah.
That guy was a CIA contractor. There's a lot of those guys that were CIA. Look, they got compromised. I think, but that doesn't mean the whole CIA's bad. That doesn't mean we don't need a CIA. Man, if you talk to people, if they're honest, I don't know if they're, let's just assume they're honest. If you talk to people that deal with trying to infiltrate terrorist groups and deal with tracking terrorists and deal with trying to figure out if someone's trying to make a dirty bomb, trying to figure out if someone's ready to blow up a mall, and they're doing this actively every day, all day. That's essential.
Right.
That's essential. So the CIA, fucking MK Ultra, they dose people at whorehouses. That's not the same people. Okay, this is a giant organization that's been around for a long fucking time.
Right.
What you're hearing about from Jolly West and the MK Ultra, those people are dead. Those are not alive today. But you know who is alive today? ISIS. You know who is alive today? A lot of threats all around the world. You know who is alive today? Kim Jong-un, the leader of China. All these fucking dictators they're heavily armed all over the world. There's a lot of them.
Right.
You got to keep an eye on those motherfuckers.
Right.
If you don't think you have to keep an eye on them, you're crazy.
Right.
Well, the CIA is evil. No. Humans are evil. And sometimes you need someone who's paying attention to the evil people.
Right.
Yeah, that's what you need. Now, does that mean that they're not going to stray across the lines of what is correct and good and fair and start spying on regular people too? No, it doesn't mean that.
Right.
It means that shit needs to be curbed. That shit's un-American, right? But if you think someone might be a terrorist, like, you should be able to find out before they blow up a fucking school.
Totally.
Right?
100%.
100%. So the question is, how good are these people at walking that line? Turns out pretty fucking good. There's a bunch of shit that's happened over time. But also, they've gotten intel on all these different terrorists and all these different fucking terrible situations all over the world and probably saved a lot of people.
Right.
Like, it's not perfect. But nothing's perfect. There's not a fucking thing that's perfect. Whether it's the fucking post office or police officers or fire department and doctors, no one's perfect.
Right.
Including the CIA, including the FBI, including the Army, the Navy. There's going to be problems.
Right.
But overall, they're trying to protect, I would imagine, if I had to ask. Like, what are you guys here for? To make sure the shit doesn't hit the fan. Pay attention to the shit. Pay attention. Do some of them branch out into coke business? Yes. I'm sure some of them sell coke. I'm sure there's someone for the federal government that's selling guns to a bad guy right now. I'm sure. So people are people. If you got a million people, you're going to get 30 bad ones or whatever the fuck the number is. It's just part of life.
Yeah. Look, I mean,
You're a CIA apologist. I set you up. I don't believe a word of what I just said.
Come on, man. What about my bonus?
You took that job.
Come on, man. You know I get a big bonus for I don't. Yeah.
You're wearing a wire, bro. You don't have to wear a wire anymore. Just carry your phone.
I'm wearing a wire on a podcast. I'm monitoring you, Joe.
Imagine if you got too close to the mic. It's like, Jimmy's like,
Dude,
interference.
That's when I was a kid growing up. That was always when I was at the beach. That was always like something I'd fantasize about. Is like, fuck, I hope one of those drug bags washes up, man. Do you ever wonder how many of those wash up that people don't report? Whenever I hear about someone who's like, oh my God, I found a briefcase full of cocaine. Like, why are you? That's God. That's grace. Like something is delivered unto you. This bizarre thing. At the very least,
pure.
I'm not a fan of coke myself. It makes me. I hate it. In fact.
Yeah, but if you got some of that Ozzy Osbourne from the '70s coke, do you know how good that shit would be?
CIA cocaine.
Yes. Remember when we talk about government weed? Government weed was good.
Oh yeah.
Unlike the cheese.
Oh yeah.
Government cheese is terrible, but government weed, dude, he's got that government weed.
Whoa.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do, man. I completely forgot about that.
That was the thing back when weed was illegal. You wanted to shit the government was growing.
Whoa. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, because for sure. By the way, there's I guess at the CIA there's a layer of all the sober people who've haven't gotten high for a year. Which whoever's writing that fucking thing is definitely laughing as they're writing it. They're just laughing because they're so fucking high, and they're like, all right, we'll just say.
No, they test, man.
Well, there's a level they test, but there's a level where you get past that level and listen, the no drug stuff, please. We want you to have a good time. This is a fun job. We know that you can handle your shit. We just have to do that level below you because otherwise the last thing you need is another fucking Manson.
You know what I always think about when I think of someone infiltrating a terrorist group?
What?
That scene in Team America, World Police, where the actor has the fucking terrible outfit on.
Oh, yeah.
And we need actors to save the world. Do you remember?
Yeah, dude.
I always think of that. If I think about anybody infiltrating a terrorist group, I think of that guy.
Yeah, well, you know what? This again, we don't have to worry about that. That to me is a fucking great thing. I don't have to worry about that. I don't have to worry about infiltrating a terrorist group. Right. Can you imagine if it was?
You remember? He was so good at acting. They just let him. He looks so bad, and they just believe him, and he walks right through. Oh my God. This movie's amazing.
Yeah.
This movie's amazing. Folks, if you've never seen Team America World Police, I probably laugh harder in this movie than any movie I've ever seen in my life.
It is so
good.
What a great name. World Police.
And then also, after you see the movie, go online and find the sex scenes that they had to delete. So, first of all, these guys are geniuses. And what they figured out is that if you just add way more than you really want, they let you have what you want. You gotta add stuff I think she shit on his chest.
Right.
They pissed all over each other. They fuck like crazy. So it's a plastic doll sex scene that's so crazy and graphic. And then when you watch it in the movie, it's like a fraction of this because they just went so far. They're 69 in each other.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah. And she's sucking his dick, violently sucking him off. And they just keep, so they did this so that they could have some of it in there. I mean, it's so long and so crazy. And then once you think it's over, then they start pissing and shitting all over each other too.
Oh wow!
Doesn't it keep going?
Yeah, look at this is the clip from the actual.
Oh, that's from the actual movie.
Oh,
so
what?
That's how much they left in. That's how much they left in because they cut out. They got so savage with the sex scene that they let them keep the most preposterous amount in there because it was so far past that. They just tricked them. They used like sleight of hand.
Dude, that must have been so funny filming that. Like that was.
I think it took a long time.
Sure, it did. Yeah.
Like Trey Parker was saying in some interview that he would never do that again. Like, that's too bad.
Stop motion.
Yeah, because, dude, Team America World Police is one of the funniest movies of all time.
For sure.
And there's so much in that movie, like what they do with South Park, that you could never do with a human. But you can do it with either a doll or a cartoon easily, and it's amazing. Like death scenes. Like, you killed Kenny. You couldn't have a guy just die every week on a sitcom. People were like, this is freaking me the fuck out.
Yeah.
But he doesn't even look remotely real. So he can cut his head off. He can light on fire. He can blow up in an explosion.
Yeah. You can definitely get away with a lot more in that regard, for sure.
Get away with everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a genius way to do comedy.
I don't know. I mean, I like South Park is like eerie to me in their ability to quickly animate shit that maintains its relevance. Like it's insane that they're able to do that. Like that they've got it down to that level of like, oh shit, something happened in the world and we're gonna respond to it almost instantly.
Not only that, they do it mockingly but accurately. Like they figure out how to ride that line and have what are you laughing at?
I just saw a scene I've never seen before from it. I'm looking for the.
Let's see it.
I thought it was fan made, but it's not. It's like this is Meryl Streep and this is Ben Affleck. He's just like a
the
talking
Ben
hand.
Affleck is just a hand.
I'm mixing blood with theirs.
They made Matt Damon and Ben Affleck really fucking dumb in that movie, right?
Oh yeah, I'm Matt Damon.
Yeah. Oh, rude. Matt Damon's actually very smart. That's
Yeah.
so rude. But it doesn't matter. They can just do that.
Yeah.
They can do anything.
Yeah.
When you have like cartoons and puppets, you can fucking do anything.
Dude, I mean, but except anything you want to do takes forever. I mean, that is the
Yes.
problem is like, yeah, you could do anything, but that anything is like, months of anythingness. So it's like
Right.
clearly easier to film shit or just to say it. Or, I mean, the fact that they used hands, God only knows how much money that saved them. Like that decision to just do that, how much time that probably saved them. Who knows? Like those kinds of like decisions and shows like that are like really smart and funny. Yeah, animation is like, I mean, it is spellbinding.
It is. He's eating her ass.
Yes, slightly longer.
It's longer.
It's not much different, to be honest with you, though.
No, but there's the shit in the
I
piss
thought
scene.
so, but it's not coming up on here.
What?
But there.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Go back. There it is. She drops a log on his face. There it is. Perfect. And then I think she pisses on him
Yeah,
too,
it was
right?
actually right before that.
He pisses on her, and then she shits in his face. How many people do you think do that? If you look at the whole population, like the entire population, like a little light went off every time someone was shitting on someone's head. How many times that happened in a
I
day?
bet you could fucking light up a small town.
Now, it's mostly the girls shitting on the guy's head, right? Would you imagine most of it is like a guy wanting a girl to shit on his head? Mostly.
Dominatrix.
100%. I mean, look up. If you look, have you looked, not
Isn't
shit.
this interesting though? What I was going to say is I don't feel bad at all about that. Like, I don't feel like he's getting shit on. I feel like he wanted to get shit on and he got shit on. So I'm not mad at her at all. But if
Right.
a guy was just, my thing is like shit on women's heads, I'd be like, that guy's a piece of garbage. What the fuck, man?
Why are you doing that?
And the girls, they just look, they want $1,000. He wants a shit on their head. They make a deal. And he just shits on people's heads. I would feel like that guy's disgusting. But the girl who shit on the guy's head,
Only I.
obviously the guy wanted it. The guy, it's easier to think a guy wants to get his head shit on than a girl. It's not.
Yeah.
Like a guy, like if you told me, hey, you know that guy that used to be on that